Shabana, great to see you. Welcome to Pop Alternative.
Thank you for having me.
You know, it's interesting, right? Because I've talked to a lot of your cast as well. This is one of my favorite shows of the year. The pace of this show is just insane. I kind of want to know, I've been asking a lot of your cast about, reading the scripts, filming, but can you take me even before that, the first conversations, before even really diving into scripts and going to film with the creators? Like, what were the early conversations like before actually getting into the thick of it, so to speak?
Oh, we had like a boot camp, medical boot camp. I'm sure everybody's talked about the boot camp because we all loved it. And we would have like they'd like take us away from boot camp and have conversations with us about our character backstories. And it was so cool. Like it was like this soundstage in Warner Brothers, and they had all these like dummies, and we'd like put tubes in their mouths and stuff, and it was just like the coolest 2 weeks of my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. This is something I was excited to chat with you with. I was going to save it for the end of the interview, but I'm just curious because I'm also a fan. There is a ping pong match going on with your character at times, whether she wants to be a doctor or not. Let's be honest, right? There is that,
Yeah.
right? So I think we're just seeing it for one shift, which is funny to think about, right? Because it's over 15 episodes with 15-hour shift. What was that like seeing that kind of ping pong match of, do I want to be a doctor or do I not want to be a doctor? The stress, reading that like from a script to screen journey, like reading that aspect of it and seeing it come to life on screen.
Oh, it was so exciting. It was so exciting. And I think because even with all of that stuff, she still rises to the occasion. Every episode she does her job in a way that I think is really impressive because her job is, I mean, being a doctor is no joke. It is so intense. The stakes are so high all the time, and she just gets puts her head down and does it. But I do hope that she, in later seasons or wherever we go with it, like that she sort of does either choose to be a doctor and not just fall into it. I think it's too intense a job to fall into it,
Yeah.
because your mom put pressure on you as a kid, or you didn't think about anything else, and now you're too old and you're stuck in this path and you're not sure what to do. I hope she really picks it.
Absolutely. I'm curious specifically with Noah, because he's a creative behind the show and he's directed episodes and he's in it. Are the conversations with him different from an acting perspective versus a creative, or are they very similar with him on set? Whether it was like from an acting or like a behind the scenes point of view.
He was incredible. He's the best. His mind is like a steel trap. You'll mention that you like something, and 2 weeks later there'll be a book about that thing you
Mhm.
like in family room, and you like he's so generous and so gorgeous. And he's really holistic about art. Like he's not like, I don't know if you talk to Jalen about it, but Jalen and I talk about it all the time. When Noah said this thing where he was like, there are big important parts of your life.
Mhm.
Massive golf, there's golf balls. You've got your life as a jar and you've got golf balls. And the golf balls are your family and your friends and your well-being and your creative thing. And then there's sand and there's like the little bits. And you've got to make sure that like your creative golf ball is fed. And that doesn't just mean acting. It means like really looking at the world constantly. And he was so supportive of me and everybody, so supportive of us. And he was the best number one. He was like the dream number one on the call sheet to work with because he was so giving and so generous in not just on set, offset, in between takes, everywhere.
Yeah.
He's the king. I love that guy.
I find it really interesting because, your character's interactions with, Issa's character, Dr. Santos, and, your interactions with Jalen, Mateo, played by Jalen, are very different. We see two different sides of your character. You know what I mean? We see with Jalen, someone who's interested in kind of getting out there, getting out of her shell, so to speak. With, Issa's character, it's more like, trying to prove your worth, that you belong there, right? And she's bothering you and calling you Crash. Is there a separate preparation for those scenes specifically? Because your character is kind of like in different situations, right? When she talks to both those characters, because I find that interesting from a viewer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something about the pace of this show and the way we shoot that there's all the prep happens before, right? And then you get in there and you react to Jalen's dimples versus Issa like being mean to me.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's so great. And it is like, I know everybody says the show's like doing theater, where it's like so fast and there's so much going on that even in one scene, like I'll have one, I think it was in episode 3 where I had like a conversation with McKay and then a conversation with Issa and then a conversation with Jalen, and it was one scene.
Yeah.
And so I think just being open and being reactive, just reacting to everybody as it happens is the way to go. And it feels real to an emergency room where you're being pulled in a million different directions. There's like the quote from the show where it's like, and the average doctor is pulled from task to task every X amount of minutes.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, absolutely. I like, from a viewer perspective, I'm so stressed watching it, and then talk to your cast is just stressed filming it. So I think it's just stress all around, which is the pain.
It's the best. It's so good.
It's all storytelling at the end of the day, and you get to dive into all these different worlds, play different characters, and I'm wondering, because the life of an actor and storyteller is on to the next. It's this journey, you wrap, then it's the next journey, and then you come back to it, and then all that. How separate are past journeys for you, projects, compared to something like The Pitt? Like, do mindsets, preparations come from your amazing horror film Bird Eater and brought to something like The Pitt, or are they completely separate once you wrap them? I'm curious about that.
This feels like a totally different beast to me. I've never shot something for 7 months. Like the longest gig I had before this. Yes. We shoot for a really long time. Yeah. And so it's like, as much as, like that mindset of like one thing onto the next, onto the next, onto the next, that was my mindset for so long. And then suddenly I went, oh my God, you can't let go of Javadi. Like you have to hold on to it. Like I'm still doing my American accent for 1 hour a day to myself. Like, because I don't want to lose that. You know what I mean? Like it's suddenly, yeah, it's fascinating.
Take me through, because the show like recently like didn't wrap that much long ago, but like how, like, did you get scripts in bulks, so to speak, or was it like what was that like? Because it depends on the show, right? Some shows you get them in bulk. Like, what was that process like for you?
No, we'd get them one at a time, but we did get them before you normally would. Like in terms of, we weren't getting sides. We'd no sides on set, no scripts on set, period. And so you had to know your lateral canthotomy from your pericardius and Jesus, like you had to know the words, you had to know the jargon before you were shooting. And so we'd get them earlier than you necessarily would on something else. But
for sure.
They're so dense, like they're massive scripts. Sorry for saying fuck. But
absolutely.
Like, yeah, it was a lot. It was awesome.
Ensemble casts are interesting, and you've probably worked on things that have an ensemble cast that have like 25 people on the call sheet, but then maybe you go in for a couple of days and you're maybe working with 2 or 3 people. This show, like for you, like this is an ensemble cast for you, right? Like you're working with everyone, right? Take me through that process, and take me through the process where like every episode, it's not the same people. There's like 10 people you have like a lot of scenes with in episode 4. And then in episode 9, it's like 10 other people that weren't even people you talked to in episode 4. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's massive. It's huge. And I think it's actually a really great set for that, because usually if you don't see the people, because we shoot a lot faster than you ordinarily. Like we shoot in America for The Pitt, we shoot as fast as Australians shoot.
Yeah.
So I was very used to it. I was into it, but it's not how that America usually works. And so, and because we're doing background work, we're always there. So even if you're not in the scene, you're able to bond with the other actors. And so like that was a gift. And it was so cool because a lot of those guest stars are huge deals. and also because we had trailers, but we would all sit together in like the family room of the set, which sort of turn the lights off and be quiet in that room while they were shooting. And so I did feel like I had all these cool actors like stuck with me, and they had to talk to me, and it was very exciting.
Oh, absolutely. So much happens before you officially go to camera on something like The Pitt. So from an acting storyteller perspective, you can see it as like, 2 journeys before filming The Pitt and after filming The Pitt. Or for you, because you talked about the scale of it and everything, did it feel like one big journey with multiple steps in between? I'm curious about that.
It felt, I felt like I landed in America on a Friday. We started on a Monday, and I feel like I'm now like getting my head back on. It was such a gift. It was so cool. And it did feel like an unstoppable train. All the elements of like, you do a trauma scene, learning how to rehearse a trauma scene, and, getting, your choreography and all this equipment you have to use. And it was amazing.
The scene where where, you know, she's finally kind of telling her mom that she's got this, right? Because we talked at the beginning of this interview, right, where there's this ping pong match, right? But there's a scene where, you know, she's in the mode and she tells her mom she's got this. I'm wondering, did you feel like that was going to be a big deal for you, like before filming that, seeing that in the script, like that moment? Because that's like one of the biggest moments for your character of the whole season.
I don't know. There's so much going on in the mass casualty
Yeah.
episodes that I was like, oh, I say 3 words in this scene, great. Like I think it was obviously like a big Javadi like character moment, especially because her mum's been like a, you know, really harsh pressure, like quite an intense presence. The whole shift, you know, like from the start, she comes down, she's not invited, like she's kneeling and I failed, and it's all so complicated. And I think that I'm really glad that Javadi's at a place where she's like rising to the occasion. She does the test tube and it's fine and it's good and it works. Even with blood, even with Mateo standing there, even with McKay. I hope season 2 and onward, her mom starts believing in her a bit more.
Absolutely. No, it's incredible. Yes, congratulations, season 2. So exciting.
Yeah.
I know.
I have a job. I'm so excited.
It's amazing. And episodes of, you know, we're winding down. We're getting to the last couple of episodes of The Pitt on Max, which is really, really exciting. Shabana, so great chatting with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much for chatting with me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.